evening, lovely sewists, and welcome to day 9 of Vlogmas, yay! Today you are joining me for a video that's actually been asked for quite a few times, but honestly I just didn't have time to film it, but I thought Vlogmas is the perfect time. So today we are going to be doing an extremely beginner friendly, very easy, quick clean and check of our sewing machine. Now a while ago I posted a time lapse of me doing a very thorough clean of my machine after I'd been sewing some glittery fabric, and honestly there are still tiny bits of glitter, it was so difficult. And a lot of people messaged me going, I don't even know where to start, I don't feel qualified, and it's fine. So what my first piece of advice is, we are not fixing anything here. It's a good diagnostic to do if your machine's running strangely, but honestly our core purpose is probably, your machine is like mine, gonna be cleaning. And I will honestly say I never cleaned my old machine, ever. And that's because it didn't even come with a screwdriver to take the foot plate off, so I just didn't think about it. Whereas my new machine does come with a screwdriver and a little brush and all that kind of stuff to actually take it apart and have a wee look inside it. So I'm going to be taking you through the basics today. Of just how to clean your machine and a few little bits you can check to make sure everything's in working order for your machine that's not going to be invasive, it's not going to damage your machine at all. You don't have to worry about doing these things. This is just the little routine I go through, and I try and do it every month. At some point I'm going to get my new machine serviced because I've used it more than I used my old machine in 4 years in the last, what, 6 months? So it definitely, I might leave it a year, but I think I'm definitely going to get it annually serviced so that I get my money's worth from it and its lifespan. So let me show you what you're going to be using today. So tool number 1 is this little screwdriver here, which came with my machine and is designed to fit the screws on the foot plate so you can take it off and dust underneath it. So this is our first one. It comes with the machine, so we know it fits. If you don't have one, for example, if you have the John Lewis machine, which does not come with a screwdriver, then I would just have a look for a flat head that's the same size and just be careful. So tool number 2 is this little brush. Now it's also a quick unpick, and again, comes with my machine. But its core function, because I've got about 5 or 6 quick unpicks now, I realised recently, is this little brush, which is wire head and perfect really for getting right into the feed dogs. As you can see, the end of mine is a little bit dirty now because I've used it quite a bit, so I'm going to look into how to clean this properly so that we're keeping the machine nice and tidy. Tool number 3 is this longer screwdriver. Now this is from a set of little screwdrivers over here that my partner has just bought for him, and I asked if I could use one because when I like to take off the side of the sewing machine here, but there's a screw at the back that is very, very long. You can use the little the key screwdriver for the screw at the side, but it's the screw that holds, like, that is directly behind this bit at the very back, that's got a very long tunnel into it, so you need a thin screwdriver. So this guy is perfect. And my next one, this is an awful use of a Morphe makeup brush, but it is very much the best brush. It's the best shaped brush for the job. I use this to dust in and around. So this is great at getting big bits of fluff, but this is better for little things like glitter, thread, anything tiny little dust bits, and it gets it out really well. This is the brush for anyone interested, and I did get it on sale in the Morphe store in Stratford in February, but it is perfect, and honestly in 2020 who's using their makeup brushes for makeup? Come on. And then my final tool, nice and simple, is a microfiber cloth, and I use this to polish my machine, and I will also have a piece of kitchen roll on the side to wipe my brushes on because I like to keep this dust free from this stuff, or oil free and everything, and then I use this to buff down the machine afterwards and give it a nice polish, keep it happy, keep it dust free. The first thing I always do is I take the thread off the machine at the top, pull that out, we'll just pop that to one side, we'll deal with it later, and I take the front off, I take the bobbin plus casing out, and again unthread, leave the casing on the side, and we'll deal with that a little bit later on. Now, if I show you inside mine, you can see there is still some glitter, which is ridiculous because that was months ago. And there's some dust kind of kicking about. You can see dust trapped in here, some little threads, some little hairs. And generally inside here, there is just some dust. Now we don't really want this getting caught up in the bobbin. It's not a huge drama, but it will just make your machine run a little bit smoother. So the next thing I do is I take the foot off, pop it to one side, and now we're going to take the foot plate off the machine as well. Now you'll excuse me, this is my first time doing this on camera. I was concerned about the light levels, and then I remembered I have got a very bright desk lamp which is currently lighting up the sewing machine, so you can see exactly what I'm doing and make this a useful video for you guys. So comes off nice and easy. When it comes to putting on your foot plate and taking it off, you want the screws to be tight enough that the foot plate isn't moving around when you sew, but loose enough that they come up, like you kind of just need one stiff twist and they come undone. Like you don't want it to be, it goes under a lot of pressure, this plate, and it gets pushed down a lot, you know, and it's vibrating constantly. So you don't want it to be completely super, like really difficult to undo type, because the metal needs a tiny amount of room to move, but very, very little. So that's my foot plate off. The first thing I'm going to do is give this a quick dust with my lovely microfiber cloth, just a quick polish. There we go, nice and shiny. And I have a look at it, make sure everything's as it should be. It's got a couple of scratches on it, but nothing major. Again, the underside is pretty great. If you ever need to know the model number of your foot plate, it will be underneath, carved in. So again, let's pop this to the side. And now let's have a look in here. Oh my God, look at all that dust. It's so dusty. And honestly, I never truly realised how dusty I shudder to think actually what the state of the inside of my old machine is. So definitely worth checking, but the first time you do, you'll never be able to go back to not cleaning your machine because you know what it looks like in here. So the next job is for us to give this all a brush and a clean. So I'm going to do that on a time lapse so you guys can see, but the basic kind of concept is that I will use this brush to go in around here, and I will use this brush to go down here, like that, see? And it comes off. The beauty of a makeup brush is it collects lint really well on the brush, and then you can just wipe it off. So let's get on with that. So that's nice and clean now, and I'll just show you guys on here all the dirt I got out of the machine. Not very much because I cleaned it quite recently, but enough that it kind of makes you go, oh wow, fabric is quite gross. So that is all clean. Now by rights I should probably be doing some oiling, but I do not have any sewing machine oil. I'd like to invest in like a proper little cleaning kit, I think, for potentially my birthday in January, but we will see. For now, this does well. The other thing I will say about using a makeup brush, it suddenly occurred to me, if you are going to, like, they are fantastic, I really would recommend, but you must make sure it is clean and has not been used on makeup. This, or at least that you've cleaned it thoroughly if it has been used in makeup. You want a small kind of eyeshadow, kind of bullet end brush, and nothing with a spread really, because this sort of end gets, like, it's easier for it to, like, get into corners and stuff, and it's not going to splay either because we're using it. So you want to use, ideally, either, you can get a cheap new brush, or if you have got, like, a good old one, you just need to wash it in soap and water and let it dry, because you don't want to put, like, eyeshadow and stuff all over the inside of your machine. It's just a little caveat. Now, one thing I like to do, because it's worth checking, and it's one of those little MOT things, is I like to check the timing on my machine quite regularly. So I'm going to lower the camera so you can see what I mean. So here we are in the underside of my machine. Now you can see the needle at the top and the bobbin at the bottom. Now, when I turn this, there we go, it's not happy with me because the foot plate's off, but you can see that my needle hits just in between, so the eye is level with this arc up here, and as I turn it back, you can see it hits just at the right point in the bobbin. You don't want the hole to go of the needle to go all the way through. Sorry, I should have said eye of the needle. to go all the way through. You want it to sit just up there so it would catch the bobbin loop and then go back up. So that's just a useful thing to check if your machine's been clicking, or if it's been making a strange sound, or if it's been picking up bobbin thread badly. Have a wee look at your timing and make sure the needle's not hitting the casing and that it's not too high or too low. So just if that's helpful. Now the next job that I'm going to do is I'm going to take this bit of the machine off, and I'm going to check, well, I'm going to have a dust inside, like a nice little quick one, and I'm also going to check that my thread, like the way I thread my machine, is still as it should be, and I'll explain what I mean when I get there. But first of all, let's take the front off and give it a wee bit of a clean. So here we are, the front of my sewing machine is off. Now, for anyone who, just gonna move my machine around, has never looked at the inside of their sewing machine before, it's absolutely fascinating. So mine threads from here at the back. It goes through here, down this channel, down here. The thread takes here, and that's where the tension is governed from. And it comes all the way back up here, through this hook, down again, through into here and down into the needle. Now if I move the needle, I check the motion, I make sure everything's moving as it should, nothing is jamming. I move the tension, make sure that moves the little dial in there. And the connection here is then harder for the thread to pull against. So what do I want mine on? I want it on 5. Now I'm going to thread my machine to show you guys. Use this nice red thread so it stands out, very on brand for Singer. Pop it on. Through there. Down. We hook through here, so hopefully you can see the thread take up moving with me there. Back up. Through here and down, and then I've got a lovely automatic needle threader. It goes across this bar, it doesn't get stuck in the machine, and then it always gets a bit sticky, and we go through there, and just like that, all threaded. So that shows me that my machine is working precisely as it should be, which is excellent. Now earlier in the year, well, I say earlier in the year, in the summer I had an issue with the tension on here not taking up properly, and I looked and it was because the thread had somehow skipped past this little take up here, so it was just pulling through like that. It wasn't actually catching and taking the tension. So if you ever have that issue, it's really, really worth checking this little bit here. Every machine has it, because every machine has this. They may have other steps in the thread, but every machine has got this down and up kind of horseshoe area. So definitely have a wee look at that if you're ever having trouble with the tension. Now, let's put it all back together, give it a final little dust, and we can pop the foot plate back on as well. The final stage is to have a little look at your bobbin and your bobbin casing. So, bobbin should hopefully be fine. Here's mine ready to go on. Have a little look at the casing. I always give mine a little dust, because again it sits inside that super dusty area from the beginning, so you lose nothing by giving it a quick swish round. And the other thing to check on your bobbin casing is the tension. So hopefully mine is okay, but we'll check together. So bobbin goes in. Now the tension in your bobbin is controlled by this little screw here. So if your bobbin is at the right tension, here it is, right amount of thread, happy as anything, a little jerk, and although it will fall out of there, a little bit of thread came through. So there's a little bit of tension on it. If you do that and nothing moves, like the thread stays exactly the same, even if the bobbin falls out, you'll feel the thread move in your hand. So if it doesn't move, that means your bobbin's too tight. which can cause problems. And if it moves, like if you hold it up like that and it's just flowing through, your bobbin is way too loose. Now, this is something to bear in mind, because if you are having problems with bobbin take up, for example, or your lower stitching looks a bit odd, or you keep getting horrible little snares of thread, have a little look at your bobbin tension. A loose bobbin can also cause a weird clicking noise in your machine. So I know this is not best practice, but I'm just, there we go. So then let's pop this back in the machine, make sure it fits. Take it through, gently pull it up to make sure everything's in the right place. Lovely, threaded perfectly. And now let's pop foot back on. Actually, I'm going to give that a little dust. And then a little wipe. Whatever foot is on your machine the most will get the most kind of battering, so it's worth giving the feet you use regularly a clean. And there we go. My machine is properly threaded. And there we are. So I hope you enjoyed that video. I hope it was useful. I hope it's inspired anyone who's been too nervous to have a go. The worst that's going to happen is you're just going to put it all back on again and not touch anything. But it's really, really worth exploring your sewing machine, how it works, its little quirks, any areas that get super dusty. And it's also, if you're going to do one thing from what I just did, one thing alone, take your foot plate off, please, and dust under it. A lot of machines get a build-up of lint underneath the foot plate, and if it gets too much compacted, it can actually lift your foot plate and cause your needle to not go down straight or to hit stuff on the way down. So it's really, really worth doing. Nothing bad will happen, I promise. As long as you take it slow and, you know, be careful. It is a wonderful, wonderful piece of machinery, but nothing bad will happen, and you will get to know your machine much better for it. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Give it a like if you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments below. Are you a regular sewing machine servicer? Have you never done it in your life? Have you ever cleaned your machine before? Is there anything you do differently? Or have you learnt anything about cleaning your machine from this video? Hopefully something. And I really look forward to seeing you guys tomorrow for, oh goodness, day 10 of Vlogmas. And thank you as always for watching, and I will see you next time.